Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the day's trade. Well, we are sitting on the fifth consecutive session when we do see that the markets are constantly now slipping away. Now they've given up even the 24,900 mark and we are now at the day's low point, 0.6% lower in trade. So the choppiness has only increased. Market breadth is also towards the weaker side. Most of the sectors have come under a bear grip at this point, with leading with IT sector that's down by about 1.4%. Real estate for the second day in a row, sharp pressure being seen, 1.3% lower. Pharma is down by nearly a percent. Autos also driving lower by 0.8% as well, barring metals. And now some gains on the private banks. Rest all of the sectors are lower in trade. Which are the top stocks that are bucking the trend on the Nifty despite such weakness in the markets? Some defense names, BEL 2% higher. You also have some banking and metal names higher. So Axis Bank is up by nearly a percent. You have Hindalco, that's up by a percent. Hero Moto from the auto pack is driving up 1.3%, and ONGC from the oil and gas space, that's also pulling up in trade. But there are just about handful of 6-7 stocks that are still holding up into the green. But on the lower end, Tata Motors is definitely reacting to the news flow that the cyber attack that took place for GLR and is now, the impact is being calculated as something that could even exceed the profitability for the firm as well. And that's being seen as a key negative, and the stock is reacting to that. Trent, Tata Consultancy Services is also down. So at least 3 of the Tata Group firms that are among the top 5 losers in trade today. PSU stocks also now slip away 0.4% odd. But yes, there are some defense names like BEL and HL that are still holding up. You have names like Hindustan Zinc and Vedanta. Hindustan Copper as among those stocks that are still holding up in the metals pack. Oil India, ONGC, these are the other stocks that are holding up. Some of them are also movers in the F&O space. Anything else within the broadest index that needs our attention? NetWeb Technologies, 5% higher, a strong mover in trade. You also have Arihant Capital Markets from the capital market story that's also doing well. Inco Elecon is higher. State Trading Corporation is also up and about. TVS Electronics is higher. And you do have some other names that are also floating up in trade. But let's welcome our guest on board. We have Mr. Kranthi Bathini joining in, Director of Research at WealthMills Securities, with us on the program. Warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you so much for taking the time out. Mr. Bathini, let's start off by trying to understand what we were discussing the other day as well. The markets are feeling constant pressure, and now we have seen not just 25,000 today, but also 24,900 being breached on the lower end as well. What do you think is the key fear in the markets that's dragging down the markets lower, despite all the good news in the domestic markets?
Yes, Sakshi. The setup of the market is like that, Sakshi. Markets are in a range, and there is a clear-cut narrative of buy on dips and sell on rallies. Okay, this narrative has been playing on the markets. So as and when Nifty is going above to the range of 24,000, 25,500, okay, we can sense the tiredness in the market, and follow on buying is not coming in the market. That's what the key problem with the current situation right now. So the persistent shorts have been getting built up in this range. And as and when market drift down below this range, we can see some kind of a negativity that is dragging the market. As I have been kept on telling in our interactions in the recent past, any upward move in stock specific moves, okay, that is getting leaded to profit booking in the medium to short term. That's where the current market setup is, and markets are in a range bound right now, despite of the any kind of a positive commentary that's coming, that's not able to sustain the market at the higher range. So definitely the market mood is buy on dips and sell on rally kind of a market in the medium to short term. To break this gins, or to break this kind of a setup, we need a strong monetary or strong kind of a result oriented news is much needed. Most probably the MPC meets are there. If they can surprise the market with a strong positive commentary and also some kind of a booster stroke kind of a rate cut, as we got in the GST, that can help the market to sustain that the higher levels.
Okay. Mr. Bathini, we'll just come back to our conversation. Meanwhile, there's a breaking updates that we want to share with all our viewers with respect to the defense space, specifically related to Hindustan Aeronautics. HAL has now finally inked a 62,370 odd crore rupees deal for 97 LCMK-1A jets, and the deliveries for which will begin in 2027. My colleague Shivani Sharma is now joining in to share with us the contours of this deal and what it really means for HAL at large. Shivani, welcome. Help us understand. This was being seen as the biggest news from the defense space today. There were a lot of expectations as to what the size of the deal will be. What does it mean particularly for HAL? It's a large order.
Sakshi, definitely this is a very good and a big order for HAL, and this was already cleared by the Prime Minister in the month of August itself for 97 Tejas Mark 1A fighters. That is the additional order to the prior order that was for 83 Tejas Mark 1As that was already signed in 2021. This deal is of around 62,300 crores excluding taxes. That means the total figure of the total deal is quite more, and this is also important in terms of HAL because it has collaborated with 105 Indian companies that is generating 11 to 12,000 jobs every year from the Indian firms, Indian companies, because the rollout is planned by 27-28 and the complete order will be done by next 6 years when the production starts. So that means these 97 Tejas Mark 1A fighters will not only enable and strengthen the Indian Air Force but also enable the Indian companies along with the HAL that has now signed this contract with the MOD for 97 of these fighter jets that are much more capable than the prior version of these Tejas Mark 1As because they have 64% indigenous content, 67 more features that make it more stronger than the prior Tejas Mark 1A. So definitely a big deal out there, and the HAL that is already developing the prior Tejas Mark 1As and awaiting engines from the GE is now going to fast track those that engine come quite early to the HAL. Because, you know, we've been speaking to the HAL representatives, including the CMD, and what he's been saying is that we have been pursuing United States GE for engines so that we can make these jets at an early pace because the Indian Air Force requires them quite urgently. Another very important information that I must add out here, Sakshi, is that for these 97 Tejas Mark 1As that are to be made by the HAL, a deal of 113 F404 engines with the GE is also about to be announced very soon, and that deal is also finalized. So this is definitely a very important deal that has come to contract today by the MOD with the HAL.
All right. Thanks a lot, Shivani, for getting us all of those updates. Look at the stock of HAL that's up by about over 1%. Now, in an otherwise a very weak market that clearly reflects the enthusiasm that HAL is reflecting at this point in time on this massive deal being finalized. HAL has finally inked a 62,370 odd crore rupees deal for 97. These are LCA Mark 1A. That clearly means there are light combat aircrafts Mark 1A. That has been now decided upon. Remember, Tejas, as Shivani was marking, is a multi-role fighter aircraft that's capable of operating in high-threat air environments. It has been also designed to undertake air defense, maritime reconnaissance as well as strike roles as well. So this is going to be of extreme importance. Remember, the deliveries start in 2027. Let's go back to our guest now, Mr. Bathini, to try and understand what does this deal really mean in terms of opportunity for investors who've been holding HAL stock in their portfolio and who intend to invest in the stock afresh up until 2027 and beyond, when finally the deliveries will take place. How are you looking at this as an opportunity, Mr. Bathini? Do you think the good news was already discounted somehow, or do you think by 2027 one can continue to build on, because the deliveries will only start by that time? And what we have understood from most of the defense majors is that the question mark always comes on execution part, even if the order flows are huge. Tell us, how are you looking at it?
Sakshi, yeah, as you mentioned, the execution is crucial, how they are going to execute. And Sakshi, it's not only HL, there is a whole lot of supply chain mechanism that has to have a coordinated effort to execute these orders. Um, we can expect with the interventions that's coming from the Ministry of Defense. We can and This project is very important for India at this point of time in terms of the defense matters are concerned. So we can expect a positive execution and things going to progress in a very positive way. And this is a much awaited order for Hindustan Aeronautics. And the much of the order has been priced in, but still there is a lot of headroom in this stock given the kind of the heightened defense activity we are witnessing. And this activity is going to go up in the coming quarters also. So we are quite bullish with respect to the Hindustan Aeronautics fundamentals are concerned. And as a strategy, what investor need to do, it's a stock just like one can keep as a SIP kind of a stock. One can buy the stock in a staggered manner on a monthly basis. One can keep on accumulating the stock for a medium to long term basis. And this deal will help a whole lot of defense and aerospace limited companies. Sakshi, I have been quite bullish with respect to the defense space is concerned from the past 5 years. Whenever we had the interactions, it would be boring to many of the viewers also, but they created wealth to the investors. And here and there we come to know and come to hear it's a bubble territory and all. Yes, of course, there will be, when the stocks are in a bullish mode, there will be some kind of aberrations that do come. It's a part and parcel of the market journey. But with respect to the majority of the defense companies are concerned, they have a clear-cut, strong order book visibility and earning visibility. So whenever there is a negative sentiment that do comes when there is a softening of the valuations, that is the time one can go and buy these stocks in their portfolio, try to build up this portfolio for a longer term basis. These orders are not just like a overnight orders. These are commandable overnight earning visibility kind of orders.
Okay, fair point. Let's also shift focus beyond defense to try and understand, Mr. Bathini, which are the other sectors that are appealing to you at this stage. We do know that the markets are still away from their all-time high levels this year so far. The markets have largely remained volatile and in a narrow band of trade as well. We've only seen about a 3-4% kind of a move on the Nifty and the Sensex thus far. So, help us understand, where do you believe when the tide really turns for the markets, when the markets start to really move up higher? Which are the segments that are going to be leading from the front?
Yes, actually, as we have been discussing, it is definitely a stock picker market. As
Yeah.
the beginning of the year, if you remember, I mentioned this year going ahead, our stock picking skills will be tested. That's what the
Yes.
market has been behaving at this point of time. So there are some pockets like the infra, the stocks have been in a consolidation phase that looks very interesting for a medium to longer term at this point of time. Aerospace, it is emerging as I mentioned to you, aerospace, apart from one of the sub-segment of defense, aerospace is emerging one of the interesting space in India. So this segment of pockets of companies also looking very interesting on a medium to longer term basis. And capital goods consumption remains one of the key area. And if the investors have a high risk appetite, one can look for the space like nuclear power, nuclear energy. This space also looking interesting going ahead.
Fantastic. Okay, so those are the key sectors that Mr. Bathini believes are going to be the front runners of the recovery in the markets when the tide turns in the market. So keep an eye out on these sectors in case you're looking for opportunities afresh there. Right now, 24,894. So we are still lower by 163 odd points. In fact, the markets have clearly, got into a bear grip today. What we can also see is that, the key sectors that are truly coming under pressure is the real estate sector. That's what we will discuss with Mr. Bathini next, and we will also discuss what's happening in the IT space as well. But meanwhile, viewers, let us also give you a glimpse of what's happening at the India Today conclave in Mumbai today and tomorrow. Today, in conversation with Group Editor of Business Today, Mr. Siddharth Zorabi, we've seen Mr. Madhusudan Kela, the market master of Indian stock markets, who's been watching the markets for many decades now. He's also the promoter of MK Ventures. He's shared his long-term bullish view on the Sensex, from predicting 30,000 when the Sensex was just about 3,000. Today he has said that Sensex could eventually reach 1 to even 2 lakh levels as well, though the timeline is still uncertain. Let's listen into that.
I'm reminded of many years ago when you had mentioned that you'd given a call for the Sensex at 30,000, and many people at that stage didn't
at 3,000.
At 3,000, and many people didn't believe you, and they said, "What is this? He's driving up the market." But I have to ask you this question today: what's your call for the Nifty and for the Sensex?
So, Siddharth, I vividly remember the Sensex was 3,000 and you interviewed me and we discussed, can it go to 30,000? And you asked me 3 times. I still had that clip. I said, yes, it can go to 30,000. Rather, I said, it will go to 30,000. I don't know when. So not only it has gone to 30,000, it's come to 85,000 now. Siddharth, it will continue to grow. It will go to 1 lakh. It may go to even 2 lakh, right? But we don't know the time frame, right? The time frame is uncertain. The trajectory is clear that we are on an upward trend.
All right, so there you heard it from Mr. Madhusudan Kela. Don't worry about the near-term volatility. He has seen the Sensex turning from 3,000 to 30,000 and definitely believes the Sensex from the current levels of around 81,000, 82,000 can go ahead to 1 lakh and even 2 lakh going forward from here. So continue to believe in the longevity as far as the markets are concerned. So let's go ahead and go back to our conversation with Mr. Bathini. Mr. Bathini, you also believe the same, that the overall long-term outlook on the markets is pretty strong. That clearly reflects the India growth story. India continues to remain one of the fastest growing economies right now. There are several discussions of how in the Amrit Kal over the next 25 years, we could actually see the markets reflecting the sharp catapult that our economy is going to be taking in the journey to a $5 trillion economy. How are you looking at for those who have still not started in their journey into the Indian stock markets and maybe looking at last 1 year and saying, oh, the Sensex and the Nifty have not given too much of a returns. You did point out that it's all about stock selection. But for all those fresh investors who may now be seeing for the first time a long drawn consolidation and who they were used to of only every dip being bought into, every previous high being crossed in a swift manner, but this time around the wait has been rather long. So what would you advise them?
Sakshi, I way back to my memories, okay. When I started my career, the Sensex was trending at 3,000 levels, and after some years, there was a big party was going on when the Sensex touched a range of 10,000. Later on, it just was a history, and I'm not able to recollect those days. And everyone know where we are today right now. So believe in the long-term story. These valuation bubbles, these are part and parcel of the market journey. One need to understand the true story, the long-term theme of Indian market. Okay, whenever there are dips and with the confidence and conviction, if one can accumulate the quality chips in their portfolio, look at the large cap stocks, how they have created wealth over a period of time. Right now there is a narrative in the market. Everyone want a multi-bagger, and people would want to make overnight multiplier in their portfolios. But if they can believe the long-term story and identify the long-term compounders which can create wealth over a period of time, so the long-term compounders can create real wealth over a period of time. No need of running over the multi-baggers, which will fizzle out overnight, stars-like kind of a thing. But if the investors believe and identify the long-term consistent multipliers over a period of time, that's where the wealth can be created for the long-term investors are concerned. Those investors need not have to worry about the market faults and what's going on and the daily volatility on the market. Believe in the long-term story. Try to identify a couple of large cap multi compounders over a period of time, and try to develop the discipline and try to buy at every dip. That's where wealth can be created.
Okay, got that. Let's also look at some of the other spaces that we can draw your advice into. Before you joined in again, we were talking about the key sectors that are constantly dragging, and we need to take your advice on that. IT sector, from the time the H-1B visa new norms were announced, has been definitely slipping away, whatever the ground that was gained over the last couple of weeks, and we are seeing increased amount of pressure. This is despite the fact that many of the mid-cap companies did come out and say that they're not too worried about this disruption, as their dependence on H-1B visas has also come down over the last couple of years. But what we've not heard is from the top IT companies, the big 4 or 5 IT companies back home, as to what is their stance and how much will be the impact that they will be facing because of this, and how are they going to be probably offsetting this kind of an impact as well. How are you looking at the IT sector at this point in time? Is it still a no-go area because of a lot of uncertainties that shroud the sector?
So actually, two things one need to consider to venture into IT at this point of time. It's a double whammy for the IT as a sector, and despite of the weakness in the rupee, the IT has been reeling under pressure. There are some kind of a fundamental problems that are driving. One is, first and foremost, is the Indian IT companies, they remain to be a service-oriented offshore client-serving companies. They remain to be the information technology, but they could not able to develop a sustainable technological domains in the past 10 decades, in the past 10 years, the last 1 decade. That's where the worrying factor for these Indian IT companies. And coming to the US growth is concerned, there are some kind of a worries with respect to the medium to short term US worries and inflationary situation in US. That's where the uncertainty getting created in US. The companies not able to increase their budget despite of the positive commentary that do comes from President Trump administration. If the US could able to exhibit a solid growth numbers, then that can turn out to be a positive for IT companies despite of the H-1B issues and all. So how the US economy is going to shape up in the next couple of quarters, that's where the key area for IT companies to observe. If whatever be the decisions made by the Trump administration, if they could able to deliver a strong set of growth numbers in US, that can turn out to be a positive one to be in IT. So I take a contrarian view at this point of time. If the investor have a long-term horizon that can be 2 to 3 years, one can, despite of the persistent weakness in IT at this point of time, if the investors have a brave heart and high risk appetite, they can start picking IT stocks, okay, in a very staggered manner. It needs a lot of patience, persistency, and consistency is needed. So once, if the tide turns out to be in favor of IT, okay, that's where we are going to see some kind of a positive momentum in Indian IT companies also, despite of H-1B issues and all. Where once the US economy shows its strength, the demand get created, and they need a lot of manpower, especially the strong technological manpower from India also.
Okay, last 4 minutes to go before we end the day, and seems like we are going to be just probably hovering around that 24,900 odd mark. We'll see how it travels from here. Remember, it's also the expiry session for the series as well on the Sensex, so we'll keep an eye out on that as to how it pans out. But volatility has definitely driven a lot of fear in the markets again in trade, because it's trading at 10.7 odd levels, about 2.2% higher in trade yet again. Mr. Pati, help us understand any key advice as far as what to avoid in this market?
Sakshi, there was a
Wanted to
problem
ask
can
you,
just
what
repeat?
exactly would you avoid in this market? What would you stay clear from?
Uh, the one thing is, Sakshi, okay, I'm not going to venture into stocks which have been in momentum in nature. Okay, I try to avoid the momentum at this point of time. And if anything turn out to be momentum in the portfolio, I turn to take some profit from the table. Okay, despite of any kind of positivity. Okay, avoiding momentum at this point of time is the better way. If the investors are getting into a momentum kind of a zone, that's where trailing stop losses are needed in these kind of markets.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also truly helped you out. Mr. Bathini, in the end, would you like to share any stock ideas that you may have shared to your clients of late? What may have you added in this festive season to your clients' portfolios afresh, of course, with this new GST 2.0 coming and rolling out as well, like you also pointed out? Anything new and afresh?
With respect to stock specific are concerned, Sakshi, we have been adding names in the power, names like Transrail we added recently to our clients, and there are some kind of a aerospace companies we have been quite bullish. We added like names like JK Enterprises. This is a part of JK Group. We added to our clients in the recent past, and Russell, Texas, we have been adding for the clients for a medium to long-term perspective. These are the stocks we have added, and there would be different sectors, different stocks would be adding a dips for the clients. Not Russell India, it is Russell, Texas.
Okay, got that. Russell, Texas. I hope viewers, you've taken that down, and of course, we'll keep an eye out on all these gems that Mr. Bathini keeps sharing with all our viewers off and on whenever he comes on the channel as well. With that, many thanks, Mr. Bathini, for being with
Thank you,
us
Sakshi.
on the
Always a
program.
pleasure. Thank you.
And of course, hope to see you soon. I hope you have a fantastic festive season at large.
Thank you. You too, and all your team at BTTV.
Thank you so much for your wishes. It's 3:29, a minute to go before the market shut shop. We are trying to pull back from the lowest point of the day, viewers, and see some buying take place that will encourage a lot of bulls to again try to find strength to come back to the street. 24,900 and around that. But metals, the lone gainers that shone bright in an otherwise extremely volatile and weak trading session. IT, real estate slipped. Auto also, went into the slow lane now. Pharma index also saw some trouble at this point, and we did see infrastructure stocks, even the broader markets, mid and small caps, falling behind in trade today. Almost all the sectors, barring just metals, that slipped. Among the top movers, we've already marked out not too much change there towards the end of the session as well. BEL, Hero Moto, Hindalco, ONGC and Bharati Airtel just tried to pull up some gains towards the end of the session. On the downside, Trent, Power Grid, TCS, Tata Motors, Asian Paints, NTPC as those that decline. Among the Nifty next 50 names, some of the Adani Group stocks pulled up, like Adani Power, for instance, Adani Energy Solutions, for instance, as well. But apart from that, not too much of gain even on that front. What took place in the Nifty banking space? Well, among the PSU banks that were hovering around higher over the last couple of sessions, only Indian Bank and PNB managed to end with some gains. Rest of them have seen some profits being taken off as well. Of course, among the private banks, most of them have slipped, barring Axis Bank, Yes Bank and RBL that continued to gain ground. On the Nifty 500 basket, TVS Electronics, consistent mover, 20% higher now at 623. We've also seen names like even I'd mark out maybe NetWeb Technologies, which we've already passed on to our viewers. Trigion Technologies, that's also moved up. Anything else that moved up? Very far and few between names. Eamco, Elecon, we've already marked out as those among the top movers in the Nifty 500 basket. All right, it's 3:35, viewers. We'll wrap it up on that note on this edition of Market Today. But do stay tuned as the coverage after the market hours also continues on the other side. Stay tuned with us on Business Today. Let's move today to what's setting the